Good evening, everybody. It's Mr. First Down here, and we're ready to recap the final preseason game of the Tennessee Titans, where they have gone undefeated for the first time since 2003 in the exhibition season. Doesn't mean much, but we're going to dive into everything here right after this awesome intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fanboys Unleashed. I am your host, Mr. First Down, running solo today. That's the solo intro playing. Exciting times to be a Titans fan. People are feeling pretty good about the team. I imagine everybody's probably feeling pretty good about their team coming in, even though we all know preseason's just a farce, even though we all believe that what does it really matter in the end, because the games don't really count. But there are certain things you can glean from this team as you look at them and whatnot. That number one, this team is going to be innovative as far as the passing game is concerned. There were different passes, and they were even trying to look vanilla here versus the Saints. But the passes were nice and crisp from Will Levis and Mason. Excuse me, Mason as well. And Mason Rudolph. Sorry, I should say his full name. And they really put on a show there. It looked like the starters were ready to make moves. And I think it's a great thing to see, especially after the season we had last year. You know that these games have no bearing on the regular season, but I think as a fan, especially a Fanboy Unleashed as myself, you really have to, I think it did my soul a lot of good seeing us win all the preseason games. I think any fan would agree. If you're coming off a really bad season and you're jumping into a new season, seeing them do well in preseason, it's got to make you feel a little good. Now, I'm not saying you should ride that all the way to the bank and be like these nut bars on Twitter that are saying, it's Super Bowl, it's Super Bowl, it's Super Bowl. But it's good it was good for me to see them win and look efficient. You could tell they've really fine-tuned some things, especially the offensive line. The offensive line through the preseason has struggled at times and looked good at others. They looked stable today. Even if it was against backups, they used to be kind of shaky when it came to that. J.C. Latham did a good job. Tony Pollard doing a good job out there. I'm not really shocked by that, but a lot of these Cowboys fans were telling me I'd be disappointed. So far, not disappointed. Guy pushes hard. Guy catches well. You can't complain about that. He took those screen passes really well. But make no mistake, people are still saying Tony Pollard's the numero uno running back. I still think it's Spears. Spears is just so talented. He's going to be the leading fantasy scorer for this team. I'll tell you that. He'll be a top target. Let's see. What else was there? Defense, I guess we could start out by saying that Sweat, right out of the gate was making plays just one after the other. I think he made 3 plays, 2 tackles for losses, and a quarterback hit. And he was just not going to let him a no-gain tackle. And watching a 360-pound man move like that, can't get any better. Can't get any better than that. It was really good to see. You had Malik Willis in. You could have just kept running out and get this game over with and whatnot. But they decided to go for it. They decided to go for the win. I kind of like that, even though it's preseason. I kind of like that. And Malik Willis, to his credit, and I've been one of his top detractors, I guess. I just think it's, he is what he is at this point. But he made a nice little timing pass. The guy got open at the right time, and he threw it. It wasn't even a wide open window. It was just open enough for him to throw it, and he made it, and they scored. It was terrific. It was good to see. But make no mistake, Mason Rudolph is your backup. He is so the backup. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. I thought it was really interesting when Rand Carthon was in the announce booth, And Aran Carthon is the Titans GM for anybody who doesn't know. And he said, we kind of got a grasp about who we're keeping now. What we're focusing on is what other teams are going to be letting go right now, which I find interesting. I thought he would say something along the lines of, well, we got some tough decisions to make, because it looks tough to me. You had some pretty good depth players out there. James Williams, the converted safety, is out there making great tackles. You've got these tight ends that are just making moves here. It's incredible. I don't even know how to explain it, but we are going to have to make some tough decisions coming up. Somebody's definitely going to snipe a few of these players away, and there's not a lot you can really do about that. I'm curious about Malik Willis if they try to bounce him to the practice squad and he'll get taken away. I imagine this kicker's probably gone pretty quickly, but I was listening to a podcast. I had Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans, on there, and he says a lot of coaches don't like going for young kickers. So it wouldn't surprise him if he was still here and whatnot. I thought that was interesting. When you looked it up, it's true. They want more of the steady-handed vet kicking the field goals instead of the young guy. He did miss a field goal attempt today. And it was almost returned for a touchdown if it wasn't for Adukoya, I think, Thomas Adukoya, who has had a really fun camp and a really fun preseason to watch. A few bummers today. One of them was Narvison missing that kick. I kind of wanted to see the kid nail another big long field goal. The other one is Chance Campbell, man. It's definitely a knee injury, and he got up and he was pissed. So he probably knows he's hurt to some degree. Another guy is a guy, I think it's Bryce Oliver, if I remember correctly. I think. But I was trying to find the list of what you should keep and what you shouldn't keep. But we have Julius Chestnut and Dwayne Haskins. Now, that's not a huge deal. This is RB3. But you still want these guys around because they're going to get some touches somewhere. And as much as I love Julius Chestnut, the guy he's come out for years now and has just absolutely played his butt off. But Haskins helps you on special teams. So I think when it's between that, I think you got to keep Haskins. Haskins is a good special team player and a serviceable running back. Darius Michael Richards, I think, versus Vanette. I think Darius Michael Richards is going to have to take it because the guy just keeps catching balls over and over again. It's crazy watching that guy play. And then Weaver versus Murphy. Now, I think they're keeping Weaver. However, he hasn't done much of anything this preseason. He hasn't had a really explosive camp. Caleb Murphy is an interesting prospect, but Weaver's done this before. He's been in the league a little while, so I think they're going to stick with Weaver. Rashad Weaver at defensive end. And when it comes to Avery versus Guerra or whatnot, Guerra, I feel, is a more defined player, and he can help you in special teams. The versatility there is just absolutely necessary. I think Guerra is on this team over Trey Avery. Trey Avery, who is like wet tissue paper, and any quarterback that sees Trey Avery out there throws the ball his way because he's not very good. He's not very good. I feel bad about that. Another good thing about this game is Ryan Stonehouse. Ryan Stonehouse came out, putted the ball. Nice. Got him in the single digits. It was terrific. It was good to see Ryan Stonehouse kick out there. I think he said on Twitter, it is truly amazing how many people have been instrumental in getting me back on the field. This game was for them. Felt great to be back. And I think that's awesome. Guy suffered a broken leg against the Colts last year. He's one of the best punters, if not the best one in football. He is absolutely terrific. Another thing I like is we scored a lot of points. It was 30-27. I mean, we haven't been lighting up the scoreboard, as many of you know, especially like that. I mean, they were efficient today. And efficiency is something that this team has struggled to grasp, to hold on to. And I'm a big Mike Vrabel fan. I think I'm always going to be somewhat. But for some reason, he couldn't get those guys going. Callahan and his system and how he's doing things is having an effect on these guys. We just hope that it pays off week 1 in Chicago. The last thing I just don't want like another Johnny Football thing, right? Where Johnny Football looks good against your team and then just stinks. Like Caleb Williams looks good against us and just stinks the rest of the year. We're going to look really, really dumb. Really dumb. I think it was a fun atmosphere in the stadium, too. You had a pretty good amount of Titans fans there. That was kind of shocking. But, you know, we are in the South, and maybe there's just a bunch that live nearby. The Saints in New Orleans always have like a big history there that they always come out for their team and whatnot. And they were pretty loud at times. I'll tell you what surprised me about the Saints, though. Spencer Rattler. Right? That guy could play. I loved watching him play. I think he was really, really good. I was trying to see if anything else popped up about this game that I was just like, ooh. I mean, I'm still high off sweat. If you guys know me, my favorite position in football is the defensive line. I love those giant men that are just shouldn't be as fast as they are, 300 plus something, and they're just running at guys, getting by them, throwing them aside. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Not really seeing anything else that's really catching my eye about this game. Other than that deep ball by Willis to Oliver, I think is his name. Oliver needs to have a place on this team because I say that, and I also think Jackson needs a place on this team too. These little speedy wide receiver guys. Oliver's been doing well. Jackson's been doing really well. And then you've got these two guys in the 7th round, James Williams and I can't remember the guy out of Michigan. It's Harrer. He plays the defensive end so well. He was getting held quite a bit there. And this is when the backups are playing. And that guy is just chugging along, trying to take somebody's head off. And I freaking love that. Loved it. That's what I was trying to remember when talking about defensive line. But that's the end of the preseason, folks. And it's a win for each one. How exciting is that? You got to be hopefully carrying some momentum in there. It should also be known that Callahan also said, you just hope it matters. Like what you're doing matters here. Because if you're not really progressing like they seem to be doing in the preseason, there's no point in any of this. Any of it. So hats off for Callahan for saying that. It was a very truthful answer as opposed to a lot of these cookie cutter answers that we get from guys. You know, these guys get up there and say, you know, hey, we try to win the game and it's important. And these guys are playing football and we should be, you know, paying attention and all that. And it's just like, thank you, Tommy. I appreciate that. Man, it was at the team store. Everybody asked me about this hat. It's at the team store. Yeah, it's good stuff. I also have a light up necklace I'm going to wear this year, but the thing is like super heavy. I chose the sword logo because it's still my favorite logo. I'll argue that forever. I want the flaming thumbtack to go away. I would love the sword logo back. I imagine probably a lot of Titans fans really do. It's me always wearing the boas. I'm ready for game day. I'm so ready. I'm super excited. It was fun getting the boas back out, and actually I had to order new ones from Amazon. The other ones were kind of trash. You know, you go through a season of them of sweat and blood and tears, and they get a little ragged, a little patchy in places or whatnot. I feel bad for the people at 343 because it's just like I mean, I'm just feathering all over the place. I try to use hairspray on them to keep them all together, but it doesn't go so well. But anyway, I'm super excited and cautiously optimistic about this offense. I think that's a fair thing to say. I'm just not one of those people, even though I dress like one. I'm just not one of those people that's just instantly like, everything's better. This is great. Forget the old regime. It's all different, and everything's going to work out. I've just never been that guy. I'm skeptical of change in every aspect of my life. It's not like I hate Callahan or anything like that. Don't take that the wrong way. But I'm a little. I have a little trepidation. I also think, though, to be fair, that he's going to need I give him a lot of leeway as far as how many seasons you give him. But he needs to produce something this season. I'm not sure. Maybe anybody in chat could say, what does Callahan really have to do to solidify his position as head coach for you this season? Is it just being successful on offense? Is it just getting a certain amount of wins? It seems like everybody usually has a different kind of answer. Do you need to reach the playoffs? All those things. Cherry Dr. Pepper always gets me through. I always hate, because I like our new defensive coordinator, whose name evades me at the moment. But I always hate defense in preseason because it's just like, okay, we're going to rush 4 and you guys try to take the ball away. And it's almost like they're playing prevent defense because they don't want to make the big mistake. They definitely made some mistakes today, but it's also preseason. You got to show them that basic setup, right? You're not going to show them. You're not going to show your hand on defense. Denard Wilson, that's his name. Could not remember it. But I find that harder to look at the defense and say, like, hey, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be epic. It's going to be great. The one thing I do feel good about that I think you can glean from preseason football is that this defensive line has a lot of depth. It has a lot of depth, and it's pretty good depth, I would say. Well, okay, you know what? My bad. It's not a lot, but you have some guys behind your starters that can really take care of business. And that's exciting. Has anybody else, if you haven't watched the very Dr. Pepper, sorry, Dr. Pepper. It is so good. It's so good. It gets me through everything. Dr. Pepper cherry is my absolute favorite. I'm pretty sure if they cut me open, it'll just bleed Dr. Pepper. It won't even be red anymore. But anyway, boy, I forgot what I was talking about. Season's approaching. It's 2 weeks from now. It's so silly because I'm like, I just wish I had one more preseason game, which is a dumb thing to think about. They got 3. Go for it. It's done. Continue on. I'm bummed I didn't get to go to any of the preseason games this year, but when you start having family, and kids and babies, and you work all week, you get home on the weekend, it's hard to just leave your wife with the kids who she's been with all week while you're at work. You get home every day and you've got like a couple hours with them before, you head off. So it's a little harder for me to make that trip. When the kids are older, I'm definitely bringing them to the stadium to raise them right, though. So don't worry about that. Let's see. But yeah, if you're still in the chat or anything, what do you equate for this season to be a successful season? Is it 8 wins? I saw some people had 8 wins. I do think this team is going to surprise some people and make a push. I'd be very curious to how much that push can go, right? Are they going to steal wins they shouldn't win? Are they going to get right behind the Texans and not be able to overtake them? do the Texans have a bad game, or do you have one of those games where it's the last game of the season versus the Texans, and it's for whoever wins is in, or something like that, or wins the division? I hope so. That would be lovely. I just wish I got more of a sample size with this team than what I have, because what we are is a giant question mark, a giant one. And week one, the Chicago Bears are another question mark. And we're just going to find out. We're going to find out what this team's all about. And call it the fear of the unknown for me, but I am just absolutely terrified about that. I don't want Caleb Williams to be good. I also, if he is good, I think catching him early would probably be the best shot. And another thing, like, call this a Titans PSA, okay? Everybody says, oh, it's the same old Titans this year. They're going to do this and they're going to do that or whatever. Doesn't feel like the same old Titans to me. So, be ready. Be ready for a lot of crazy things to happen. I'm really excited about Will Levis. I'd be more excited if him and Ridley can hook up a lot more than just one pass. But maybe we'll see it all when the real play calling starts against that team in Chicago. Do you guys fear Caleb Williams? I have trouble fearing him. I think a lot of these people are writing off what they see on Hard Knocks. They're like, Caleb Williams is a dog and whatever. Hard Knocks let you in to the locker room and the team, and that's all fine and good. I loved All or Nothing on Amazon better. It was my favorite. But I wish they'd bring it back. But they're not going to show you anything that's like crazy bad or something that the coaches don't want you to see. Like, right, it's like watered down or whatnot. But all of a sudden, I've seen people just do a complete 180 on Caleb Williams. I've also seen people do a complete 180 on this team because they went from Titans stink, they're going to blow it, blah, 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 to, is Will Levis the diamond in the rough? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? All of a sudden, the podcast are talking about Will Levis. What can he do? What can he accomplish? I think we all would be lying to ourselves if we weren't honest that we didn't want the national guys to talk about us, right? We do. We secretly do, way down. But I think we know logically it's silly. It's silly to want validation from them. And that's true too. I think deep down it's like you want the credit, right? You just want to be recognized. Stuff like that. It's a silly duality kind of thing. I'm ready for the season. I hope you are too. I'm psyched. I don't see anything else in comments, so I guess I could just wrap this thing up since nobody wants to talk, and that's perfectly fine. Figured there would be some people that wanted to talk some of the preseason and what they thought and who was going to be there. Oh, one more thing. Does anybody else find it odd that Otis Reese might be cut? Like, you've seen some guys in preseason that could actually absolutely ball out. And I would have told you that Otis Reese would not be one of them because of how physical he is. But he might get bumped off this roster. Can you imagine Otis Reese, one of the hardest hitting guys we've seen and had, getting bumped off the roster? Crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. But anyway, I'm going to pull these down because I can't see anything. I hope y'all enjoyed the final preseason game. I certainly did. I hope y'all are ready for the season. I certainly am. I hope y'all are just super excited overall about it. I can't wait. Is there anything else here? Oh, you can catch me on the Let's Talk Sports show. I'll be on tomorrow. And we'll be talking to Jonathan Grisham about some baseball. And then for all you wrestling fans out there, the Let's Talk Sports Network has a wrestling show called On the Mat. It's an LTES wrestling show. We'll be recapping Raw on Tuesday, and then we will be recapping SmackDown on Friday. The Raw recap is at 8:15 p.m. or 8 o'clock p.m. And the SmackDown recap is about 9:15 p.m. Central. Oh, my bad. The LTS show runs on Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central. We'd love to have anybody there to talk and chat. We cover as many sports topics as we can. We rib on each other. We talk to each other. We're mean to each other. We're nice to each other. It's a lot of fun, and we love a busy chat. So please join us there. I won't always be dressed as this unless, I feel like it. And I'll probably feel like it if we win. So hopefully I look forward to dressing like this a lot this season. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Anyway, I wish you all a terrific evening. I hope you all have a great work week. Just remember, when we go into the season, especially, an election year, just remember that you don't have to say something, right? People on the internet are really mean and angry and stubborn about what they believe, and they can't be wrong or anything like that. If you're actually going to have a conversation with somebody, make sure they're mature enough to have a conversation. Because, boy, I see some ugliness on social media way too much. Gross hat, ew. Just Fans Podcast. They're the Texans, boys. I love them dearly, but, they a little evil. They a little evil. I love them anyway. They're a great podcast. If you're a Texans or any Houston sports fan, they cover a whole bunch of range of topics. I've been on their show a couple of times. I love you, bro. I love you too. I hope you're having a great night. About to start this work week. I hope you all have a terrific work week. I will see y'all later. And I think that'll about do it for me. So tighten up, everybody. Be nice to each other. Be kind. It's a free thing to do. And I will see you tomorrow on the LTS show. Have a terrific evening. Tighten up.